Hello everyone, welcome to my review on the NECA 2014 Godzilla figure. Hello everyone, welcome back to another review, and today I'm continuing my NECA Godzilla review line, and today we are taking a look at the first entry in the NECA series, Godzilla 94. Hello everyone, welcome to my review on the NECA 1954 Godzilla. Hello everyone, welcome to my review on the NECA NES Godzilla figure.
1,999. That is the current video count of this channel before this video is uploaded. By the time this video is uploaded, it'll be reaching the grand total number of 2,000, which is probably the year some of you guys were born that are watching this video. Anyway, my name is Matthew and welcome to my channel. Today, we will be doing the biggest video I think I might have ever created. Something that I don't think any people would dare to try and do in one full setting. Reviewing every NECA Godzilla figure created. That's right, we're gonna go all the way with this. From 2014's Godzilla to the Hyper Maser Blast Tokyo S.O.S. Godzilla 2003. From the big Godzilla 2014 Deluxe figure to the small offerings from WizKids and KidRobot. This is Matthew 2000, every NECA Godzilla reviewed. So before we talk about anything in relation to NECA Godzillas, we have to first discuss what is NECA as a company. What do they do? What do they do? NECA themselves, otherwise known as the National Entertainment Collectibles Association, is pretty much a figure-based or merchandise-based company that makes a crud ton of different merchandise for different properties, such as Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Gremlins, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, etc. In 2014, at the height of the Godzilla's popularity, they licensed Godzilla from Warner Brothers and Toho so they can start making their own Godzilla figures, as they pretty much saw a financial opportunity with that. And so with that, that brings us to our first Godzilla figure, the 2014. What the heck are you guys doing here?
Hey, we're not here because, well, this is not an Angry vs. Godzilla show episode. We're here because you have to review me.
That's right, you can't go out without reviewing him.
Yeah, I mean, you've reviewed me how many times now? Come on, review me, Matthew.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you guys are the OGs. And I mean, you're the first NECA Godzilla ever to be released, so come over here, you. This is the NECA Godzilla 2014, the very first NECA Godzilla ever released. So, the overall sculpt and paint applications is very nice, and I'll just say this, it's definitely the most realistic looking NECA Godzilla that has ever been produced. What I will also say is that it is definitely the first ever big point. Even though this was the first ever figure, it still remains as probably my favorite figure ever that NECA has ever made, because Godzilla 2014 is what got me into Godzilla. So you can consider me biased, but I really don't care. For articulation, you have a ball joint at the head and a ball joint at the neck. You have a hinge at the jaw, several rotations across the shoulders, a hinge at the elbow and the wrist, a ball jointed ab crunch, and a rotation too. Very articulated hips, can bend in and out at the knee, and can also bend and swivel at the foot. And from here to here are complete ball joints, and from here to here is a complete bendy wire. So that's just one of the many figures that NECA has ever produced. Do take note of the articulation, as this will become a reoccurring theme within this NECA Godzilla figure line across all of its figures, so take that into consideration if you will. It also is worth noting that NECA did put out a much bigger version of this figure in the form of a 12-inch tall, 24-inch long Godzilla, which I don't own, but that's only because the aftermarket prices are just way too much. And it's not really that different. It's made of a harder plastic, and the rubbery dorsal fins are less detailed, or maybe it has the same detail, just stretched out more. But the big difference is that it features a sound effect more towards the base of the tail, and it also features a long, pure ball-jointed tail. No bendy wire. So that is a huge plus in my book. Figure number 2. The NECA 1994 Godzilla from the movie Godzilla vs. SpaceGodzilla. This guy is quite a split amongst people who bought this. Some people say it's good, some people say it's garbage. I for one say it's fantastic. The overall sculpt is decently accurate to the movie. I mean, for NECA's first go on a Toho figure, not to mention the only things they had to work off of was just the suits and images, because usually they would do like CG models. This is pretty dang sweet, honestly. It has like a nice gloss green finish for the whole body and some nice white frosted tips for the dorsal fins. Some mean red fiery looking eyes. It's so good. The claws are painted blue. It just looks so good. For articulation, it's kind of similar. And as it's kind of similar, it's basically almost the exact same. 2 ball joints for the head, although it is technically it's just only one barbell style ball joint, but then the neck acts like a sleeve. The mouth is on a hinge. The arms are, there's a ball joint here, here at the bicep, here at the elbow, and here at the wrist with the hinges at the fingers. So that makes it the most posable Godzilla arm to date on any figure. Good ball joint at the wrist, like sorry, waist. Pretty good movement at the legs here. You can kick forward, back, kind of go in and out of the socket. Bend at the knee, pretty dang sweet. You can rotate at the foot, not too bad. And from here, 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 and here are all ball joints, and then from here to here is a bendy wire. So pretty dang good articulation if you ask me. Figure number 3 is actually a figure I don't own yet, and that is the 1984 or 1985 Godzilla from The Return of Godzilla, or Godzilla in Japan. This figure was originally casted as a prototype, but people hated the way it looked. So NECA listened to the fans and did an all-new head sculpt. And even when the figure came out, people were still criticizing this thing, saying, oh, it's too skinny in some parts, too fat in some parts. Like, NECA heard the complaints years later, and so they came out with a reissue that completely changed everything with enhanced dorsal fins, an enhanced sculpt, and a darker paint application as opposed to the more glossier ones. In fact, all Godzilla figures from the classic line got that same treatment, some way, shape, or form. So that's a bit of a plus, in my opinion, in my world. For articulation on this dude, he has a ball joint at the neck. He has a ball joint at the base of the neck, like at the head and neck. He features a hinged jaw, movable shoulders, a hinge at the elbow, a hinge at the wrists, at least on the reissue. It was originally a ball joint before they swapped to hinge joints. A ball jointed waist, movable hips, bend at the knee, bend and swivel at the foot with ball joints, and features a few ball joints at the tail before it transitions to a bendy wire. So pretty much the same deal as the other ones in the line. Another figure I'll talk about, which is another figure I still have yet to get, is the 1995 classic Burning Godzilla from Godzilla vs. DESTOROYAH. And this figure is basically this guy just casted in a beautiful orange and red or yellow plastic, and it just looks so good. I want to get that so badly, but hey, time and money will tell. And yeah, that's There's not much too different articulation and sculpt-wise aside from just like the paint and the mold being reused. The paint is different slightly, but it's still done in like the same overall style. So it also got a reissue later, again in a box that has the poster on it. It looks beautiful. The red, orange, and yellow just look exquisite. Everything about that figure just looks amazing to me. The next Godzilla that NECA ever released was the one-of-a-kind figure, believe it or not. It was not from a movie, but from the video games. That's right. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. The dreaded, the blue, the terrifying GameGodzilla. Or the Godzilla from Monster Monsters on the NES. This figure is pretty much a recast of the 1985 sculpt with blue paint, pixels all across the body, and brand spanking new dorsal fins, which I'm absolutely still gushing about even this day. Aside from that though, he's not much different, but for the first time ever, he was in a different type of packaging aside from the clamshell box that features the Bandai Creations 54 Godzilla as the style guide, but a brand new Godzilla Monster Monsters themed box that looked exactly like the video game art. It featured the video game art at the front, some screenshots of the game on the inside, and featured this guy. Sadly, I don't have the box anymore, but it was such an amazing, cool presentation. I just love it when companies go the extra mile to give the boxes some extra flair, if you know what I'm talking about. Before articulation, again, it's the same thing, not much has changed. 2 joints at the head, a hinge at the jaw, movable arms, movable elbows, movable wrists, movable and rotation at the waist, movable hips that can go outside, kick all over the place, hinge at the knee, ball joint at the foot, and a few ball joints here, on here, 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 and here, before a bendy wire as a whole. So this figure is definitely one of my favorites, and it's probably just because it's blue. I love blue, so consider me biased. The next figure in line is quite possibly NECA's best in terms of like the Wave 1 figures, and is still one of the best figures that NECA has ever made. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what I'm talking about. Give a big hand for the 1954 NECA Godzilla. Come on, I want to hear your applause, people. Come on, I want to hear your applause. Come on. Alright, thank you everybody. Now, this guy is one of my favorites again. He is casted in a dark charcoal black grayish plastic with some beautiful glossy blue highlights for the body. Features pretty dang good looking eyes and gray teeth across the mouth. Pretty good painted claws and some pretty dang sweet dorsal fins too. His tail is a bit stubbier than it should be, but again, given the size of the packaging and things like that, that's understandable. For articulation, or I should also say that he's very accurate to the movie. For articulation, he has a hinge at the jaw. He has 2 ball joints at the head and neck. He has what might be the most movable waist on a Godzilla figure. Like, look at that. Like if this thing was loose, you'd be like flopping all over the place. Shoulders at the joint. We have a joint at the shoulders, joint at the elbow, which it's also a ball joint. Yeah, you can get a little bit of rocker side to side, up and down, tilt, and a hinge in there. You have a ball joint at the wrist and a hinge at the fingers. We can also double that by adding a really nice hip swivel and kick motion, just beautiful across the board. Hinged knees that click right into place beautifully, and a movable foot as well. This is really cool. And the tail is the same deal. We have one ball joint here, 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 and here, and from here to here is a pure bendy wire. Now, just like all the other Godzillas, it is worth mentioning that he was reissued in a beautiful style new packaging with just an exquisite looking art form. Like, it just looks like they're just replicating a scene from the movie. But he also came with an accessory. This isn't his accessory. This is borrowed from the 1962 Godzilla, which we'll get into in a few. But it's basically just the same exact thing, just with a bit more black highlights. So you would just peg it into his mouth and then it would stick. So that's the 54 Godzilla. Pretty dang good figure if you ask me. The next NECA Godzilla that they ever have created was Godzilla 2001. And get ready, guys, from the official movie title, Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Out Attack. From Godzilla 2001, S.O.S. Toho Company Limited. Yeah. Unfortunately, this is another figure I still have yet to get, but again, I have the other one. We'll get into that one a little bit. But this one was originally made using a charcoal gray plastic with a really apparent green color scheme with beautiful white frosted tips, and it just looks amazing. For articulation, it has a same kind of deal, a ball joint at the head and neck, hinge at the jaw, movable arms, like shoulders, ball joints and hinge joints at the elbows, movable wrists, and movable fingers. We have a hinge at the waist, ball joints at the hips, knees, and feet, and a few ball joints at the base of the tail, and a little tiny tail tip that acts as a bendy wire. Now, it should be worth again noting that they did go back and reissue this figure, but it was a little bit different. They gave it a purely black color scheme, and they also enhanced the tail a little bit by giving it a longer bendy wire and shortening the amount of ball joints that you get. So I guess you could say it's kind of a fair trade-off. I mean, I'd rather have a darker color scheme, honestly, or maybe the green might look good. I'm a big sucker for green and Godzilla. So a green Godzilla is pretty needed, I guess, in the world of Godzilla figures in that regard. Another figure I still have yet to get was one of the most hot-selling NECA Godzillas ever, was the Shin Godzilla from the movie Shin Godzilla from 2016. This one looks like one of the best NECA Godzillas ever because it's fused in with a lot of red and black all together throughout the whole entirety of the body. The articulation looks nuts, and it looks amazing. Like, the teeth are painted phenomenally, the eyes are really good, and the membrane, while could look like it could use a little bit of work, I think they've mainly fixed that on the the second version that they did. But for articulation, we also have kind of like the same thing. Hinge at the jaw, ball joint at the head and neck, ball joints at the shoulders, elbow, and wrists. There's no finger articulation due to the size of the hand. And they also put in a ball joint at the waist, ball joints at the legs, or hips, I guess, knees and feet. And they also put in 5 ball joints throughout the tail. And then there's a bendy wire up until like the little second face tip, if you know what I'm talking about. So all that's like purely ball jointed up until the bendy wire. And there's not much that they did for the reissue aside from a beautiful new box with that signature Shin Godzilla simplistic poster. Like, I have a poster of it on my wall when I went to go see it in cinemas. So it's still amazing even after all these years. But don't worry, I will get that figure soon. Trust me. The next Godzilla that they ever made was one of the first ever atomic blast repaints that they ever did. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2001 Godzilla 2001 atomic blast version. That sounded so strong at first and I just had to blow it. But yeah, just look at this thing. This is basically just a simple retooling of the original, just with translucent blue dorsal fins that kind of look like candy, I'm not gonna lie. It has a beautiful new paint application across the chest and back, but most of all, it features a heat ray effect, which it's casted in a beautiful blue plastic, but I think my main gripe with it is that it's all on one side. Like the white's just all on one side. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you see this? Or no, it's actually the two sides, just that. Like, you see? I feel like the white should be more sporadic and more dry brush like, but I get the effect they were going for. So they simply just plug into his mouth, and there you go. For articulation, nothing's changed. The bending wire is easily pop-offable, or it can easily pop off. Articulation's nothing changed. Hinge at the jaw, 2 joints at the head that can really bend down and bend up. Ball joints at the shoulders, ball joints at the elbows, and hinges at the elbows too. Ball joints at the wrist, and hinge at the fingers. Ball joint at the waist, mild up and down movement there. Ball joints at the hips right here. Hinge at the knee. It's still a little stiff, my goodness. Ball joints at the foot, and ball joints here, 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 and here. Yeah, here, 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 and here. And then bendy wire. So, articulation-wise, nothing's really changed, but the pin application and the accessory of a heat ray just makes it even more worth it, in my opinion. The next figure in line is another fantastic release, and this is the NECA Shin Godzilla 2016 Atomic Blast version. The heck do you want?
You forgot to review this guy.
Alright, fine. What the heck is with all these random characters for my channel just randomly popping in? This isn't even an episode. But whatever. So, this is not a general release within the line, but this is the NECA Godzilla Lootcrate Reactor Glow Godzilla from Lootcrate. When was the last time you ever heard of Lootcrate? Come on, tell me. I'm all ears. Anyway, essentially, this is just another remold on the 94 mold, just like the 1995, except for 2 main differences. 1, it's obviously colored in beautiful green, and 2, it can glow in the dark. Now, unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, I'm not able to show him in the dark. But trust me, he glows like a freaking beacon. That's how bright he is, at least in person to me. But articulation stays the same with 2 ball joints at the head, with the barbell style ball joint acting as a sleeve for the neck, or the neck acting as a sleeve. Hinged jaw, ball jointed shoulders, bicep, hinge, the joint, elbows, wrists, and hinge at the fingers, ball jointed ab crunch, ball jointed hips, ball jointed and hinge joint knees, and ball jointed foot. And 3 ball joints here, here, here. Actually, no, 4 ball joints here, 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 and here, with a bendy wire from there to there. So, pretty dang good articulation, if you ask me. So now that we have that out of the way, now we can finally get into the next general figure release within the NECA Godzilla line, which is the NECA Godzilla Shin Godzilla Atomic Blast version with some beautiful purple paint applications and white paint applications all across the body. He's essentially like the same thing, except with a few new enhancements. They gave him translucent purple-white dorsal fins, a new head sculpt, which has him opening up his mouth, and I think that to date, this is the only Godzilla figure NECA's ever produced that doesn't have jaw articulation, which there wouldn't be no way to make this thing have a jaw articulation and have the atomic breaths in, because, like, you'd have to put it on a very small peg at the top of the head if you want to accomplish that effect. But yeah, for articulation, not much has changed, or I guess with the addition of the minus of a little mouth joint. He can rotate at the top of the head, like 2 joints there at the head and neck. Ball joint at the shoulder, hinge at the elbow, ball joint at the wrist, swivel joint at the, or ball joint at the waist, ball joints at the hips, so you can go up, down, left, right, and whatnot. Hinge at the knee, ball joint at the foot, and few ball joints here, 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 and here, all the way down here, and then once again the bendy wire. And to attach the beam, once again, I personally like to put in the longer beam inside of the mouth. That's what she said, and I'm gonna just put it right in there. Unfortunately, it's not a very snug fit, probably because of all the paint chippage that's happening in there, because I mean it's metal up against plastic. What do you expect? So this beam doesn't really stand, but this beam, the shorter beam at the end of the tail, let me find that little peg hole. There we go. You can peg that sucker in right there, and there you go. This makes it probably the longest Godzilla to date. I think the only one that beats it out might be the 24-inch long. But then again, he has two of these beams coming out at all opposite ends of the body. So, like, is it the longest? Come on, get in there. There you go. Yeah, look at this thing. It's long. That's what she said. And, but yeah, that's the NECA Shin Godzilla Atomic Blast for you. Special thanks to my lovely sister for getting this for me, by the way. And so, for the next figure release, they did something incredible. This might be the transition point to where NECA was at its absolute best with the Godzilla line. And like from here, I don't think there was like one single figure that was like a miss. Maybe for like one or two of them, but that's like on the more my opinion side. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1962 Godzilla figure. Why is this guy such a game changer? Because this was the start for many things. One, I think this was the first ever figure that they ditched the shiny paint job. And two, this was the first time that they included a fully ball jointed tail, no bendy wire in their tails. And three, this is like the first time that a vanilla release got an accessory and not just like some sort of repaint. And four, it came in a whole new beautiful style packaging with cover art for the box and like for the poster and beautiful poses for the figure. It's like Godzilla Will You Win includes heat ray effect or blast or whatever. And it just looked amazing. I missed the box. It sadly got thrown out, but hey, at least I still have the unboxing video to show I had that box. So for the next figure, this one comes from what might be my most favorite Godzilla movie ever made, or at least American-wise, because it's from Godzilla King of the Monsters, and you probably already know which one it is. The big boy, the NECA Godzilla 2019 B1. This thing is rock solid. The reason why I'm fanboying so much about this thing is that it's so beautiful. Like, it's not so much realistic as the 2014 Godzilla. I like realism. But at the same time, this was just more or less something that NECA just went all out with. The paint, the color scheme, the articulation, the detail, the sculpt. It looks so fantastic. Like, I love every single thing about this. I heard a lot of people complain about the eyes, but the thing to note about the eyes is that they're fairly accurate in terms of, like, the detailing to the eyes. Because, like, it isn't just one little dot. You look at Godzilla's eye, it's just as detailed as a human eye. That just goes to show how well the CGI is in the MonsterVerse movies. So, kudos to you, Michael Dougherty, Legendary, Warner Brothers, Toho, whoever did the CGI work for Godzilla and King of the Monsters. You guys did a fantastic job. For articulation, he has a ball joint at the head, hinge joint at the jaw, another ball joint at the neck, shoulder ball joints, ball joint hinge joint at the ball joint at the shoulders, hinge joint ball joints at the elbows, ball joint hinge joint combos at the wrist. Wish they could have added finger joints because I think it's big enough to do that. The 54 hands like around the same size. We have a movable ab crunch with a lot of cool movement, more so than the 2014 I feel like. Pretty dang good hip swivels. You go back and forth, in and out of the socket. You can just do a bunch of twists and turns with this thing. bend at the knee, which actually goes in and outward. Mine's a little stiff, or as in a little stiff. I mean, it's still stiff. I can go just like, okay, that one does not want to cooperate with me, probably because I don't bend it much. This one works beautifully, and the foot is on a ball joint, and it has a fantastic movement. And once again, they continue the trend of ball jointed tails. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 ball joints running down the tail. Fluid motion. And it's just amazing. Something to also know is that I handcrafted. You can watch my video about this that I released a little bit of maybe like a week or two ago. Maybe if you just, I don't know. It's for mostly for Godzilla vs. Kong, as it's just the same design, just with bigger dorsal fins. It's my attempt at a neon building. I caked this thing in paint, and I kind of rushed it, so what I'll go do is I'll go back and fix this. So I'll do like an enhanced version of that. So overall, one of NECA's best figure releases ever, I'd say, like as far as Godzillas go. It was around this time also that NECA got a hold of some more licenses for other Godzilla monsters. And with that came with the first ever NECA Godzilla figure that wasn't a Godzilla version. It was Mothra. Mothra here is casted in a translucent orange plastic with a lot of beautifully sculpted and painted details that perfectly replicate what she looks like in the movie without all the bioluminescence, you know. Her articulation is very simplistic with some ball joints at the front limbs and the back limbs, with also some hinge joints at the top of the wings and the bottom of the wings. So that's pretty fantastic if I do say so myself. For accessories, this figure actually does come with some. She came with a stand, like you can clearly see it, but also came with a little cocoon base. And the cocoon base is amazingly sculpted and painted. Has like a lot of glossy blues and greens on it. And it just looks so shiny and bioluminescent. Don't know if that's a natural word. I'm going to have to look into that. And what's also really interesting is that they initially showed off a larva prototype, but it was apparently rejected by either Legendary, Toho, or Warner Brothers. But whoever did leaked that. They probably weren't supposed to, and they probably got their butts whooped. I don't know. But yeah, that's NECA Mothra 2019 version 1. The next figure was none other than the Godzilla 1956 poster color version. I don't actually know if there does exist like another figure that's based on the 56 poster movie cover, if you know what I'm talking about. But this is one of them. He's just a repaint of the 54 figure combined with the accessory that came from the 62 Godzilla, which also came with the reissue of the 54 Godzilla, but that was released after this. So like, does that come from the 54 or the 56 or the 62? I don't know. But essentially, it's just a combination of reused parts, and this is like casted in complete orange yellow plastic, and with some orange highlights over here to simulate like burning effects. So this looks fantastic. Godzilla here is like all green, all black, and orange, kind of pinkish, reddish kind of color back here. And he looks amazingly colorful. For a Godzilla figure, this is surely a colorful beast. For articulation, not much has changed. You have a hinge joint at the jaw, ball joint at the head, ball joint at the neck, ball joints at the shoulders, ball joints at the and hinges at the elbows, ball joints at the wrist, hinges at the fingers, even though they're a bit tight this time around, ball joints at the waist, even though again this one's stiff. The newer ones I have are stiffer, I would say. Ball joints at the hips, ball joints at the knees, or hinge joints at the knees, combination of both, and ball joints at the foot, while we have 1, 2, 3, 4 ball joints here, and then a bend wire here. Since it is a repaint of an older figure, I don't imagine they'll go the extra mile to really give anything new articulation-wise. But what is new to this figure is there was a foldable backdrop that came in within the box, so you can actually replicate the movie and have him like blasting away all the humans. And I don't think it featured text, but it did feature text on the box, so you could have just like cut out the box. But then again, why would you want to cut out the box? That thing looks amazing. But yeah, this thing. I'm gonna have to pick that up. This thing looks still pretty dang sweet, and yeah, I recommend that this figure if anyone wants like a 56 poster version of Godzilla. The next one is another non-Godzilla. You know, no, I'm keeping this in. This is Rodan. No, he didn't scuff any, or he didn't break. He just coincidentally landed like this. But yeah, he is amazing. The sculpt and paint on this thing is absolutely gorgeous and bonkers. His size is relatively small but accurate. I'll give it that. And he's overall one of the best Godzilla figures they've made. I say that about every release, so take what you will for it, I guess. Believe it or not, actually, he's completely translucent, which it took me by surprise, because this looks like a matte finish for a paint job. Honestly, it looks like solid plastic, but no, this is translucent plastic. So that was kind of me being blown away by that. For articulation, he has a ball joint here at the base of the head, although given the size, it's very limited. Which I prefer. I have animals. He has another ball joint at the neck, which allows him to look up, down, side to side, and if you can actually twist it, he allows him to look straight up. So that's pretty dang cool engineering on next part. Intentional or unintentional, looks pretty dang good. The waist does not move, but he has foldable wings like this. They can go up about that far, down about that far, and he actually has mine are glued in because they keep popping off and they refuse to go back on. But like he can rotate within the wing like that. You know the motion, like that. And he has movable feet right at the top, right here, and he can like spin those around. For accessories, he actually comes with quite a bit. It's the most for a NECA Godzilla, at least. He comes with a alternate head because it's not enough room for a hinge in there. He comes with a explosion. He comes with a volcano base that we see in the movie, and we see we have a little rod stand. So how you put this together is quite simple. You just align it like this. I think it's like yeah, like that. It's not a circle. It's like half a circle. I know there's a name for that shape, but I don't know my shapes very well. I think Redbird's shaped like a triangle. No, that's Chuck. Come on, peg it there. Is that how you peg it in? I don't know. I'm gonna have to fudge around with this thing later. But yeah, you basically like peg it in there, and then you peg it on the top, on the top of that, and then you rest Rodan on there. How to alternate the heads? You just pop off the pre-existing head right on there, and you can swap it out with like a closed mouth. So yeah, that's Rodan for you. Pretty fantastic package for only 20 bucks, I would say. The next figure is quite possibly the most dynamic Godzilla figure that they've probably ever made, and this is the NECA Godzilla 2019 V2 action figure. 2019 from King of the Monsters. I know someone that I know actually, a close individual of mine does love this figure a lot. I think they said this is their favorite. You know who you are. But yeah, this is the figure. It's basically just a repaint of the 2019 one, but instead of like a gray and green color scheme, it's all black and all blue. Look at this. It's so metallic, and especially like I have like LEDs going around, so it's really reflective. Like, look at that. Look at that beautiful color scheme. It just looks so good. It just looks like he's bursting with atomic power. Like, you know what I'm talking about. In the movie, he's all like juiced up, ready to go. For articulation, he has a hinge at the jaw, ball joint at the head and neck, ball joint at the shoulders, ball joint hinge joint combo at the elbows, ball joint hinge joint combo at the wrists, a ball joint at the waist, ball joints at the waist, legs, ball joint hinge joint at the knees. Ouch. Jabbed myself in the claws, that's how sharp they are. Ball joints at the feet, and a series of 10 ball joints going down the tail from here. You get the whole story. At least, I think you do by now. Next up, we have the accessories, which we have the atomic breath piece, which and then we have the impact base, which they don't plug into each other, but they do like rest into each other, and this is like how you rest it. And then in order to peg this into Godzilla's mouth, you'll see like a tiny little indent right up there, and then that goes on the top jaw since that pops out more than the bottom one does, and you really have to like lightly jam it in there to get it to at least stick decently, because if you just rest it, it's gonna fall out easily. And so there you go. It's like, yeah, there you go. It's like resting pretty dang well in there. And then you can come in with the beam effect. Line that up properly. How do you line it up? Take it for what you may. Come on, where is it? Where is it? The resting point. Whatever. I'm just gonna say that this is it. There you go. It looks something like this, and you have to rest this up against, like, say, a building or another monster. But that's basically like the whole thing. So that's definitely like one of my favorite Godzillas that they've ever released, in my opinion. The next figure is quite a hot release, if you know what I'm talking about. And this is the 2019 Godzilla King of the Monsters Burning Godzilla. Yes, this is one of the best color-wise, honestly, because it really pops. It's like purely red, orange, and yellow. It's all just all mashed together in a beautiful figure. And like, it's somewhat tight in some areas, but for the most part, it's made of like a soft, translucent, ruby pink plastic. And it is pink. I popped off one of the joints, and you could see like the joint itself in the inside, not painted, was pink. And it's most apparent with the bottom of the feet. Kind of can't see it thanks to the lighting, but it is pink. Everything is like V2, except everything is like orange, red, and yellow. Like, if you know what I'm talking about. He doesn't come with any accessories, which I guess it'd be kind of hard to do with like the big nuclear pulse. I guess what they could do is like, what about like a glass dome that's like completely clear, but has like the red printing of Mothra's wings? That would look actually kind of cool, at least in my opinion. For articulation, same thing. Ball joint at the head and neck, hinge at the jaw, ball joint at the waist, ball joints at the shoulders, ball joint hinge joint at the elbows, and the ball joint hinge joint at the wrists, ball joints at the legs, ball joints at the knees, and ball joints at the feet. So pretty dang good articulation. The tail, though, might have received the biggest upgrade, because even though in terms of like joints it's the exact same as the other two, but since it is made of a softer plastic, you can actually get a lot more dynamic tail pose. Like, look at this. You can't do this with the other ones, can you? Yeah, I don't think so. But yeah, that kind of wraps up Burning Godzilla. He's a very cool dynamic release. It looks like he really just got like bursting with burning power, just begging to be let out by Mothra's sacrifice, if you watch the movie. So yeah, also veins running across him. So he rocks. He's amazing. Now the next figure was another figure that it wasn't a King of the Monsters figure, but it was more of a classic series figure. The 1964 Godzilla. And this thing is spectacular. Like, the sculpting is amazing. I'd say it's fairly accurate. Maybe not the most accurate, but for something that's based off a suit, like a rubber suit. This thing is pretty dang sweet. Articulation wise, I would actually go ahead and say that aside from the V3 Godzilla, this is probably a V3 Burning Godzilla from Godzilla 2019 King of the Monsters, you know. This might be the most posable because the head posability is just out of this world. Like, look at that head turn. And then you can really like look up, you can really look down. The jaw doesn't open up too much, but his mouth didn't really like, he didn't have a big mouth in the movie, proportion wise. But he can really move at the shoulders, elbows, ball joint at the elbows, ball joint at the shoulders. Like everything here is a ball joint except this. And the ball joint at the wrist, same with the hinge. And hinge fingers, ball joint at the waist, which, yep, still talking about it, the pretty dang movable waist. Name another Godzilla figure that can do the splits. That can pose their legs like this. This is Showa Godzilla. He can hinge at the knee and rotate and kind of bend a little bit. And he has ball joints at the feet. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 and 6 joints. And here's the best part. Not only can he do this, but he can actually bend his legs, his tail all the way back, so he can replicate the beam effect right here. He can replicate him flying in the movie Godzilla vs. Ghidorah, or Ghidorah, the smog monster, or whatever you want to call him. So, what an amazing figure! Like, seriously, this thing deserves to stay on shelves forever, I'd say. Also, this is really a NECA Godzilla. It's not even Godzilla related. It's a butterfly ornament. I just call this thing Mothra because I don't have a 64 Mothra yet. But I just kind of keep this on Godzilla's back, and it looks pretty dang sweet, I would say. So yeah, pretty nice little package for 20 bucks, I would say. Definitely worth it. And now, let's go over another King of the Monsters figure. The poster version, Mothra 2019 from Godzilla King of the Monsters. Yeah, V2. So, it's essentially the exact same thing, but all of it's casted in a dark blue plastic, or green plastic, with some new paint and details added to it. And, like, it looks so gorgeous. It looks like a nighttime Mothra, even though it's meant to replicate the poster of her. I think what would have been cool, or at least better to save for another release, was that they could have done, like, maybe some sort of other exclusive, or no, another general release, where it has, like, all of these veins going down, and they all can glow in the dark in the same way the Reactor glows. Articulation stays the same, shoulders, back legs, top the wings, bottom wings, and the accessories are a rod and a cocoon base that's actually painted a darker blue, or darker green and blue. So it's not like, it doesn't have the gold on it, which I find it's fine, honestly. The poster wasn't really gold, it was more green and blue. So yeah, spectacular Mothra. The next figure release was a pretty another dang sweet one. The 1989 Godzilla vs. Biollante Godzilla figure. I don't know where I was going with that, but Godzilla 1989, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just gonna come out and say this. I think that sculpting-wise, this might be the best Godzilla Classic Series one that NECA's ever produced. Like, the reason why I say that is because, especially like on the chest and everything, like all like the little bumps and ridges are just sculpted to perfection. The claw paint is amazing, especially on the toes right there. Am I not scuffing? Huh, I did not notice that. And the tail is just amazing, and the spines just exquisite. It's just exquisite. I could talk about this all day long if I really wanted to. It's that good. for articulation, he has a hinge at the jaw, a ball joint at the head, and a ball joint at the neck. Allows him to go up, down, side to side, tilt around. He can rotate at the arms, and he actually has a hinge in the shoulders, which I think that's the only NECA Godzilla to do that. Yeah, I think that is. If you don't count Rodan, I'm just talking about like Godzilla himself, because that's what the majority of the Godzilla figures are in this line, just Godzilla versions. Hinges at the elbows, and also a little bit of ball joint motion in there with swivels and everything. Ball joint hinge joints at the wrists, even though this one's a little tight. This one's free to move as much as it wishes. Hinges at the fingers. Ball joints at the... Okay, there we go. Ooh, I heard that snap and sound. You heard that? Ball joints at the waist. Ball joints at, or just a single ball joint. Double ball joints here at the legs, the hips. Ball joints at the knees, and hinges too for allowing bending movement. Ball joints at the feet. And here we have, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 joints, and then I think from here to here is either solid plastic or a bendy wire. If it is a bendy wire, it's pretty dang hard to move. If it's just solid plastic, I guess it's just solid plastic. With this, he actually comes with a beam, which is a spiral beam, and finally, we get a spiral beam, because I love my spiral beams. I'm sure anybody does. I just paid that into Godzilla's mouth, and there you go. You're just getting ready to be blasted all over the place. Oh my goodness. The next guy isn't as grand, I would say, but he's still very nice. This is the Godzilla Tokyo S.O.S. with the scar. He is amazing. He is ready to go face off against Kiryu, Mothra, whatever. NECA Godzilla 3, if you really want to call him that. So, for sculpt and paint, he surely is very accurate to the movie. Like, this looks like they just cut the joints and pass it off to Toho. Okay, here's the prototype. But yeah, this, I think that he also is the tallest and the longest 6-inch NECA Godzilla to date. I don't know why they did on this specific figure, but hey, for a Tokyo S.O.S. Godzilla, I'm sure not hating on this thing. The frosted white tips are just mint, top tier. The gum paint is fantastic. Anything about the paint is amazing. I would wish they would have highlighted the scar a little bit more, maybe given it more of a red scheme since it is a wound. But I guess that's understandable why they didn't do that, because that would kind of be a little bit of an eyesore to many. For articulation, we actually have a ball joint at the head, like all the others, a hinge at the jaw, and this is actually kind of interesting since normally the NECA Godzillas would have a hinge around here, but thanks to the design, they actually sculpted it so it's like a big, one solid, flappy rubber piece that actually goes down to the shoulders and actually acts as like some sort of umbrella-looking piece to the whole body. Yeah, you can see that? All of that is just one big piece. Yeah, you can kind of see that. But you still get the shoulder movement, which looks more like a bicep swivel, if anything. So you can kind of see that right there. Ball joint hinge joints at the elbows, ball joint hinge joints at the wrists, hinged fingers, and movable waists, and movable hips, movable legs, and movable feet, all on hinge joints and ball joints alike. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hold on, is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ball joints, and then a bendy wire right here at the tip. So this is one of the most posable, but at the same time, probably one of my favorite NECA Godzillas that they've ever created. The next figure that they released was another repaint, and I think this is one of the most unique Godzilla figures ever created. This bad boy, the Godzilla 1989 Biollante Bile Attack. I call Biollante Bile Attack as there's actually two names, Biollante Bile and Bile Attack. So I just merged the two names and call it the Biollante Bile Attack. He's not much different from the original, aside from that he's caked in green paint, which is meant to replicate Biollante's puke. I'm not joking. He gets puked on in the movie. Let's see. He has a bit of paint on his dorsal fins a little bit. It's very just tiny, but that's okay. The beam is still back. He's also much more glossier, probably just to seal the paint better, not to mention he's very wet. I think he came out of the water literally just then. So yeah, that's like some other things. For articulation, once again, ball joint at the head, ball joint at the neck, here we go, hinge at the mouth, the jaw, ball joint hinge joints at the shoulders, ball joint hinge joints at the elbows, just like that, except this one does not want to move. Ball joint hinge joints at the wrists, hinge joints at the fingers. So I guess you can like leave that. You can bend down like that and then go up. Just like that. Spread out the legs out to the side. Bend the knee a little bit. Ooh, you hear that crack. And then move the foot around 360, ball jointing style. And then once again from here, 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 yeah, hold on. Here, 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 and here. 8 joints with either a solid piece or a bendy wire right here. So, very dynamic figure. Also comes with the same exact blue spiral beam. I've heard so many people say, why isn't this like a bit of green? You guys do realize if the puke was on the beam would have fried the vomit. So like, the beam isn't a physical object. It's something like fire. It's an energy, so it would fry it. But yeah, alas, it's amazing. Top tier figure in my opinion. The next Godzilla figure, and the last one from the 6-inch Godzilla line from NECA, is the Hyper Maser Blast Godzilla Tokyo S.O.S 2003 version. Which it's basically just I don't have it yet, but it's basically just a version of that Tokyo S.O.S Godzilla, but with yellow paint across the bottom jaw and the chin, the neck, the chest, the lower abdomen, and the legs, even going down as far as to the feet and the bottom legs, and like it's even on the arms a little bit too, and even on the nails they gave them like purple nails, which purple paint on the nails and on the claws too. So I mean, who wouldn't want purple nails? Come on, who wants purple nails, huh? Well, anyways, for articulation, it's basically the exact same, just a ball joint at the head, that umbrella style ball joint at the shoulders, or the neck, ball joints at the shoulders, hinge joint at the, and ball joint at the elbows, ball joint hinge joints at the wrists, hinge at the fingers on both sides, ball joints at the waist, ball joints at the hips, ball joint hinge joints at the knees, and ball joints at the feet, with 9 joints running down the tail and a bendy wire at the tip. So, and there's no accessories with that one. And yeah, that's all of them. That's all the 6-inch figures. And they never made any more big deluxe figures, so you might think that's all the Godzillas that we have to talk about, right? Well, no. In fact, there's a bit more. They released like some other bonus merch, I guess I should say. So let's get on that, shall we? A while back, NECA actually did, or I'm pretty sure they're still doing these, like different figures that are not really figures. They're just more like different style of collectibles that might appeal to a wider audience. Because like I know there's like an audience for BlindBags, but we'll get into that later. The first notable one is that they did a Godzilla 1954 body knocker, which, if you don't know what a body knocker is, or a head wobbler, or I don't know the name, you put them in the sunlight, you like mainly in your car or something, in the windshield, and then let that baby just charge, and then they'll like shake their head, shake their arms, like shake their bodies, do some sort of motion. And a body knocker doesn't, it has its head static, but the body just goes, or something like that. Initially, when I first heard about a Godzilla body knocker, I thought they were just gonna have Godzilla like completely dressed in Dragon Link, I don't know, holding like a ukulele while doing the hula or something. But no, it's just a standard Godzilla, just like this, and then he's just probably just on his way to destroy, I don't know, Tokyo or something. So that's fantastic, I would say. I do plan to pick it up someday, but it's going to be a little while because I want to set priorities to my other NECA Godzillas before I go to the bonus ones a bit. So yeah, that's the Godzilla body knocker. They also did a Godzilla scaler, which if you don't know what a scaler is from NECA, basically NECA has this big lineup of like licensed characters that have their hands like on a cord, and then you can like put them on the cord while you're like, say, plugging your phone in, listening to music with your headphones or something like that. And they made a Godzilla one based on the 2014 movie. It looks so good, it looks really cute. Gimme. I want to get it, but like, I hope the aftermarket prices are friendly on that little. They also did a set of Target. It wasn't really a set of anything. Well, I guess it was a gift set. Yeah, it was a gift set of the, I think, the Body Knocker Godzilla, which was like, and then they did Godzilla earbuds, which are literally just a pair of normal earbuds just with Godzilla's face printed on them. And they did another type of Godzilla scaler, and they did a 3D vinyl, fold it yourself kind of a Godzilla figure. That's kind of a weird combination. It's creative and interesting, but like a body knocker, headphones, a scaler, a vinyl 3D print figure? The heck? Although to be fair, I kind of wish they did the scaler for that instead of like the one that's choking itself on the wire, because this one, oh my goodness, this is gonna sound so gross. But you put the wire, sorry, I think like there's an opening at the bottom, but initially I thought you put the wire through its mouth and then out its butthole. I'm not joking. That's what it looks like. It looks like he's choking itself on the wire. That's what it looks like to me. But like, why couldn't they have done that with that one instead of the one that goes like, or something like that? I have no idea. But they also did put in the vinyl one, which it looks interesting. I don't even know. I don't know how to judge it. It looks goofy, but it looks goofy in a good way, if you know what I'm talking about. And they also did some Godzilla blind bags. Remember, I said I would talk about the mini blind bag figures? Yes, I am. So basically, they made a set of 10, and they made 5 legendary, or MonsterVerse, Warner Brothers, and 5 Toho classic ones. So they have, going from the picture right here I have on screen, Godzilla 2014, the female Muto, Godzilla doing a Spitfire, the male Muto perched on top of a building, and then another Godzilla, or actually I think the first Godzilla's in the water, and then they have one Godzilla 54 doing the beam, another Godzilla, which I think is the King Goji, the Godzilla from 1962, another 60s Godzilla, the 95 Godzilla, and then I think another Heisei? I think that looks like another Heisei. I'm not too sure. But basically, you could get either or, and I want this thing so bad. I want anything that has the NECA stamp on it at this point, because NECA's made that good products. I want everything. I want everything NECA. Give me everything NECA Godzilla. And just a few more to throw it in there. They also did some other Godzillas as well. They did KidRobot, which is owned by NECA. They did a Godzilla 1954, I don't even know what that is. But basically, it's like a little tiny Godzilla with a big Godzilla paw for some reason. Since when was Godzilla like some sort of animal like that? They also did some more Godzilla minifigures, which I think they expanded their license a bit. So they have some multiple versions of Godzilla, including the little Shin Godzilla, 2 exclusives, along with some more ones. But most notably, they have a NECA Godzilla, a Mothra larva, a Mothra full-grown, a King Ghidorah, so that's your NECA King Ghidorah, shut up everybody, and the NECA Rodan. So that's amazing. Who knew that they had the license to those Titans? I'm guessing that maybe at one point they were planning to make figures based on those Titans, but probably fell through, but they still had the license to them, so they made those instead. Probably just my guess. KidRobot also did some other stuff here. The Godzilla 1954 Crackle Glow in the Dark edition. I'm guessing that's like or that could just be part of the regular pack of figures, of the BlindBags. And they also did like these Godzilla Plushies, which are very cool looking. And I think they also did like a very big jumbo version, but I'm not sure if that was ever like publicly released. That could have just been like a little display piece or something. Like, I don't know. It's all over the place to me. Like, yeah, I'm looking at some images right now. Like, I'm seeing one. It comes up to a person's waist. Oh no, it's like almost up to the chest. It's that big. I don't think I can show the images due to copyright, but like, oh my goodness, look at that. Just do a search, just search up Godzilla plush KidRobot. You're gonna come across that image. Like, it's so big. That's what she said. It also seems like they did some some other plushies as well, like a King Ghidorah plushie. I'm not sure how legit these are, because like my knowledge on the NECA line itself is very good, but I'm not too familiar with the offerings from their other divisions like KidRobot and WizKids. So most of these I'm actually discovering for the first time, even though I have seen these. I just didn't know they came from WizKids and KidRobot. So take what you will for that, I guess. So yeah, those are some of the other offerings that I can outright see. I'm noticing that I think this is a NECA Godzilla plushie. Once again, I'm not sure. I'm just seeing a bunch of these for the first time, and so, I mean, hey. In 2019, NECA put some new the 12 days of or the 12 days of downloads, which if you guys don't know what that is, basically they do like these figure guides of like checklists of like all the different figure lines needed. And for 2019, they actually did Godzilla, which featured the 54, 56, 62, 64, 85, 89 NES, 94, 95, 2001, 2001 Atomic Blast, 2016 Atomic Blast, 2019 version 1, version 2, version 3, Rodan, Mothra V1, and Mothra V2. So that's like 18 figures out of the ones that were reissued. And 2014 didn't get its reissue until like way later, so that's why it's not on here for the updated packaging. But yeah, that's the first one that they did. Next year, in 2020, they did a full complete figure list of all the Godzilla figures in the general 6-inch figure release. The releases with, again, 54, 56, 62, 64, 85, 89 NES, 89 from the movie, 89 Biollante Bioattack, 94, 95, 2001 Atomic Blast version, Tokyo S.O.S 2003, Tokyo S.O.S 2003 Hyper Maser Blast version, 2014, 2016 Atomic Blast, and then 2019 V1, V2, V3, and then Rodan Rodan V1, and Mothra V1 and 2. So that's the guides. And around this time, sadly, NECA announced that they would no longer be doing any more form of Godzilla merch, as they were losing the license to Playmates, apparently, which was like they hold the master license to it at the time. I'm not sure if they still do, but that's why NECA is no longer making Godzilla figures. In addition to this updated guide list, NECA also provided a statement regarding their Godzilla line and reflecting on the past work that they did. In that statement, they read the following. For day one, we want to start off with Godzilla. We are so proud of the work that we did with this line and are forever grateful for our wonderful partnership with Toho, allowing us to work on one of the most iconic characters in film history. We also want to thank the fans for supporting our releases over the years. We hope you enjoy the visual guide. Just to throw this also in here, NECA also did some scrapped Godzilla figures, which or had some Godzilla figures that were initially scrapped. Some are consisting of a Ghost Godzilla, a Hanna-Barbera Godzilla, a Godzilla from The Simpsons, a Godzilla from the Marvel Comics, and Godzilla 2014 V2 with translucent dorsal fins, which if those figures actually ever did release, give me those suckers right away. I would love those. And that pretty much wraps the whole thing up. NECA never said anything about Godzilla and any kind of future releases aside from this one last visual guide. The only thing really left to talk about is what they're doing now. Previously, like just before the Godzilla license for them expired, they announced a King Kong figure, which that started a new line of King Kong figures, and now we have 4 of them: the King Kong, the Illustrated, the Skull Island, and the Concrete Jungle, which I'm not going to cover those in this video because they're all literally just the same body sculpt with different heads, even though I think one of the heads is just remolded with a hinge in the jaw. But that's basically all the differences, aside from the accessories as well, and the different hands. But yeah, that's it, basically. NECA, that's pretty much it. NECA's whole Godzilla line from start to finish. Personally, my very first 2 Godzilla figures were actually these 2 figures. The NES Godzilla from 1988 or 1989 from Japan, and the NECA Godzilla 1954. I'll never forget that amazing Christmas in December 2015 where I finally got these 2 out of their boxes and unwrapped, and it was just such a wonderful experience for me because I never thought I'd have, just such amazing Godzilla figures. Even though they're not in the best condition, given a lot of paint scuffs and a few wear and tears, they still hold up significantly well. 54 is one of my favorite figures ever, and NES is right there and is one of my favorite figures visually. So both of them are right up there in terms of comparing to my other NECA Godzillas and non-NECA Godzillas. And so they're just so amazing and they're just wonderful. And it also means a lot to me in the grand scheme of things when we really think about that. One of my first 4 videos ever on YouTube were NECA Godzilla reviews. Specifically, they were my first 4, 54, NES, 94, and 2014. But it still really just goes to show that I'm that dedicated to this figure line, and I can't wait to complete the collection. But as of right now, I just want to thank everybody for the last several years and all the wonderful creations that I made, all my characters, all my episodes, but above all my videos. And no matter like what kind of video it is, even if it's like a small little 10-second update to a full-on big special epic such as this, I really want to thank everybody for supporting, watching, liking, and subscribing to my channel for the last 8 years. And I know this channel's like 6 years old, but like I'm talking YouTube as a whole. So thank you to everybody for all the years. And that reminds me, as one little thank you to my family. All of these Godzillas that you see right in front of you are not just me earning them. A big majority are gifts from my family, whether it be my mother, my father, my siblings. It doesn't matter. All these at least came from them in some way, shape, or form. And I just want to thank everybody who has gifted me with these amazing figures. Even if I have critiqued them, like Playmate Shin Godzilla here is one of the most infamous figures, I give them a hard time. But even then, you just gotta appreciate what you're given. With that being said, thank you all again, and that is all. Bye.
is all. Bye. So that's all for it today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember, keep in touch, subscribe. Well, I don't care. But remember, stay big.